Thinking Through the Body is a research project, and it's an interdisciplinary project which is an experiment both in ways that practitioners can exchange information about their practices and teach one another.
It was developed by me as an opportunity to spend some time thinking out about connections that I was very interested in between interactive art and somatic bodywork practice.
So the way we set up Thinking Through the Body was as a series of short, intense workshops rather than one long, intense workshop.
I wanted to see how the kind of interactions we were having could ripple through our various practices, and we could kind of fold our experiences in and out over the course of a year. We've got Lizzie's work with audience experience and curating, Lian's work similar in some ways to what Lizzie does in terms of involving that world of human-computer interaction and design research. Similarly, Garth's work as well, which is a little bit more focused on interactive art, interactive sound especially. And then similarly with Jonathan, Jonathan had a collaboration with Catherine through the Reskin project that Anna did a few years ago, and I was interested to see how we could support that dialogue there as well. And Somaya's own work as well with gesture and motion capture, and her interest in sound and kind of situated listening. And Maggie was involved in a dialogue that Catherine was having with Jonathan as well, and there's an ongoing relationship between Maggie and Catherine about the Feldenkrais practice.
The best way I can think of describing what happened to us at Riversdale was that we were all abducted by aliens, which sounds extreme, but I was trying to find a kind of metaphor for what an intense experience we'd had and how difficult it was to convey it to other people.
Resolving from, feeling that difference.
For me, it was the similarity, because when I drawn myself, I was like, there's a lot of me. Like it just seems big. Because I think when you translate something to a two-dimensional, life size is big, actually. You're not used to seeing things life size.
Riversdale, just the place itself was quite extraordinary. Time slowed down, I think. It was like just letting go of all expectations, any pressures to produce things, and just coming back into that sort of, almost like that deep pleasure you find in your body sometimes.
Various places.
And through a combination of doing a Feldenkrais every day, very interesting work we did with Catherine, with being blindfolded and sculpting with clay from our felt experience of our bodies.
I think I started, the first instructions was, can you draw the body? Or a body, can you draw a skeleton? And they did, and they got little pieces of paper and they drew very tight little bodies and bones inside from, I could see them pondering and I could see them feeling themselves to see how many bones were there, and then I gave them a Feldenkrais lesson where it was bringing their attention to the sensation of the structure of themselves through the skeleton, and then asked them to redraw their bodies. And the language was very clear: draw your body, an outline of your body, and then fill that outline with your skeleton.
Has been about becoming more aware of my own body, which up until doing this workshop I realised I was fairly ignorant about, really. I am currently working with patients who have suffered from traumatic brain injury, and as a result of their injury their own self-image of their body is actually quite fragmented, which results in difficulty in moving and difficulty in coordinating a number of motor functions. This workshop has actually helped me realise that the sensing that's required to become aware of your own body in a much finer detail than than the way that I'd been exploring previously.
After living in Berlin for just over a year and then suddenly coming back doing that residency and 6 months later going to Bundanon and having that time in that environment that I guess feels like a sense of home. No one really feels like home, but that kind of knowing that climate and the dryness of the air and the way that the trees are around you. There was a workshop that we did with Jonathan and Catherine called Situated Body. It was quite directed, but it was very open. We actually went down to the Bundanon homestead and were given, this task of go and find a place and then, in some ways, develop some kind of practice around being in that environment.
Being pushed out. And there was a small spider's nest, isn't it, really? It was a leaf, curled up leaf dangling from the tree. And for some reason I thought, well, if I play, this is an opportunity. It was a sudden urge to play with my body with this spider's nest, which was to balance the leaf on the tip of my nose. And we all had a go at it. And it was, we suddenly forgot that the flies were annoying us. Yeah. The environment wasn't so oppressive, and our body started to take up the space that was there. Before it had been sort of crushed and compressed. Yeah.
I spend a lot of my time, because of my work, working with the body. Most people spend a lot of time working with technology. I'll never forget the first time we had a meeting and everybody but me sat with a laptop on their lap with the screen facing out, and I felt naked because I didn't have a belly that was a screen and where I could play my work. And one of the things I picked up on was that the generations younger than me have all grown up with technology, where the word interface is about a relational point between technology and self. And the emergence of interactive art began to make sense to me. Once I had more language and more capacity to pay attention, and I'm now able to stand alongside Garth and look at dots moving around on a screen and become emotional, because what's coming through him because of his aim, but also where I am in those dots. They come from something that Garth and I, and Catherine in this instance, had the idea together. It emerged through the three of us.
I've been recording motion capture data of subtle Feldenkrais manipulation, and that's really interesting because it does have incredibly fine nuance in it, which is something I can take away and continue to work with, and we can continue to share things that might come out of that. I'm sonifying that data at the moment. I might also generate some visualizations of the data.
It was such an incredible environment to work in, just in terms of having a really supportive environment that we could feel really comfortable in, and such a focused environment, like that Riversdale, the Boyd Education Centre space is just purpose-built for group work. How that can bring out a sense of openness and trust in people. So it's a perfect environment for really cementing our relationships.
Working in this way with these people has helped me to understand what it is that draws me to art, why I'm interested in art. And my interest in art is to do with the way it transforms our ability to understand the world. So one of the things we've practiced a lot here is the 8 of us have talked to each other constantly about our own experience of art and of the world. And we've developed that language to
describe and articulate experience, which I think has been a profound gift.